Hello, this is Aaron Mean of SG Gaming Info, and it's that time of the year again, as it is time for SG Gaming Info to announce its top 5 games of 2015. Now, like every year, the games on this list are games that I've either reviewed or simply played. Now, without further delay, let's begin. Number 5. At number 5, we have Ubisoft's Anno 2205. Following the disastrous SimCity reboot, Anno 2205 was a game that reminded me why I love city building / management games. With Anno 2205, I would spend hours just trying to maximize the performance of my in-game corporation by trying to make the best use of the areas I controlled. Anno 2205 was more than just a fun city building game to me. It was an incredible challenge that I wanted to beat. I love the fact that each of the game's 3 regions had their own unique challenge, especially the Arctic, which at times felt almost impossible to fully utilize. Number 4. At number 4 we have Bethesda's Fallout 4. Now, I'm sure seeing Fallout 4 in the number 4 spot might have a few people scratching their heads and stating, or most likely screaming, it should be higher up. But while I for the most part enjoyed the world of post-apocalyptic Boston, I found the game lacking any immediacy. The game had a lot to offer, but there was very little reason to do most of what the game offered. Yes, after I reviewed the game, I played Fallout 4 on an irregular basis, but it was mostly trying to find some fun, and honestly, why should I have to find fun in a medium that is built around entertaining? Honorable mention. Before going on to the top 3, I wish to give an honourable mention to Nerdoc's Reverse Crawl. This was a game I debated whether or not to include in my top 5, but in the end it just missed out. What made Reverse Crawl stand out for me was the idea it created of good and evil. In the game, the idea of good and evil is reversed, with you playing as those who would be considered evil, aka wraiths, zombies, etc., fighting against those who would be considered good. The twist in the formula is that you and the monsters are trying to reclaim the land that was stolen by an evil witch. But the witch has recruited heroes to stop you. The idea made me stop on more than a few occasions, as I recall all the games that had me blindly following quests to exterminate monsters and wonder whether or not I was doing the right thing in those games. Number 3. At number 3, we have Nintendo's Splatoon. Splatoon was not only the most enjoyable multiplayer shooter I played all year, but it was the game that convinced me to buy a Wii U. Before purchasing it, I wasn't 100% sure on what to expect, as I'd only seen the game receive a lot of praise, but after playing it, I quickly saw why. What made me enjoy Splatoon so much was the fact that the game wasn't built around trying to kill your enemies, but in fact it was built around completing an objective, which was attempting to spread more ink than the opposing team, and killing enemies was just something that made ink spreading less stressful. The game's premise and colour also helped make the game stand out. Playing as a squid-human hybrid in a world where aquatic life became the dominant life form was odd, but an interesting premise. The game's bright, vibrant colours helped make the game stand out in a genre filled with games that have a colour palette consisting of mostly dark grey and browns. In all, Splatoon was a great surprise hit for me, and it also proved that Nintendo have the ability to make a successful new IP. Number 2. At number 2 we have Square Enix's Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward. Now, Heavensward may be an odd inclusion on this list, since it is an expansion pack, but the expansion helped me continue to love Square Enix's MMO. Heavensward continued A Realm Reborn's amazing story by creating an amazing fantasy world that very few recent single-player Final Fantasy games have managed. The game has hours of story which focuses on the Duranian War, a war between the humans of Ishgard and the dragons that also inhabit the land. The story explored the cause for the war and what the centuries of war had done to the land and its inhabitants. The expansion also took time to help wrap up some of the threads left at the end of A Realm Reborn. Story isn't the only reason why this expansion is on the list. The expansion also provided well-rounded characters, 3 new classes, a lovely new race, an overhaul to its crafting and gathering systems, beautiful areas, and of course some challenging dungeons and incredibly difficult raids. Number 1. Now we reach the top spot. My number one game of 2015 is CD Projekt Red's The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. The Witcher 3 was my game of the year due to its amazing world and RPG mechanics. The game's fantasy world felt different from other fantasy games, as it offered a darker, more realistic take on a medieval fantasy world. The fantasy creatures were as deadly as they looked, and the humans that inhabited the world were almost as ruthless as the monsters you had to kill, as the game had more than a few gory and stomach-turning moments involving humans. When it comes to the RPG side, the game felt like an RPG and not just a game that had tacked on RPG elements. The game had elements such as having to use separate swords for beasts and humans, changing magic to suit your situation, and of course there was a heavy emphasis on questing. The Witcher 3 was a game that could be incredibly dark, but not dark for the sake of dark, as the horrors from both man and beast felt like they could have happened during the Middle Ages. So, congratulations, CD Projekt Red. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is SG Gaming Info's Game of the Year. This has been Aaron Mean of SG Gaming Info. Thank you for watching.